Participants, and welcome back. There are two quick announcements that we have to make, and that's very important. First, as we mentioned yesterday, that the teams will be announced today. Okay, so by the tea break or before tea break or after tea break, we'll be announcing the teams. So I would request all the participants to be present in the hall. And if someone, your known is not there, you can inform them as well. So how the team, again, I will quickly tell you, the team will be made of 2 college students, 1 school teacher, 1 college professor, and 1 school student. Okay. Now, as we see the attendance, there are less number of school students, school teachers, and professors. So there might be chances where the teams might have 2 college students and 1 teacher, like that also, but minimum there will be 3 members in a team. Also, there are cases where a single college student have come, they have not come with their team. In that case, I'm telling you beforehand, we'll be merging 2 college students parallelly. They could be from any XYZ team, but they'll be merged together. And then mutually, you guys have to discuss about a common idea, and that would be it. So this is especially for the individual college students who have come. So we'll be mixing them with another college student, and it could be of any college. So you have to come up with the idea along with your college professors and teachers and schools. The pitching part mainly will focus the ideas from the teachers and the college students. Of course, for the school students, it would be a learning experience. But yes, of course, they can get the input, but the final pitching would be done by the college students and the professors. That's the main thing that will happen during the tea break, or after tea break, we'll be announcing it. We would request to pair up with your teams after the lunch break so that you can start your interaction and come up with a common idea. That's for day 4 and 5. Also, now, because we see that many of the participants are not attending all the sessions, so we have made a attendance system just outside the L4, where after every session, there's a Google sheet and there are volunteers sitting. Please mark your attendance. That will ease us in providing the certificates to you. We would need all the participants in all the session except the medical emergencies, but we would need attendance, and make sure you mark it. We'll have to, this would be centrally monitored, and then accordingly the certificate will be issued later on. If your attendance is not marked, then that could be a problem and we would not be able to handle it there. So these are the 2 important things, and by today we'll be trying to keeping every sessions on time. There will be a volunteer will be ringing the bell for the session, so we'll keep it on time so that the day wraps at proper time. Also for the pitching session, yesterday it went a little late, but today we will try to pitch to wrap it up before it gets done. Okay, so that's about it, and I think Naved can take it over.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, participants. Welcome to the Innovation Design and Entrepreneurship Bootcamp hosted by IISER Bhopal. We are honored to be the moderator for today's session. He is Sohan Pandit and I am Shoishab Sadhu. We'll be moderating today's session. where we'll delve into the fascination of world of problem solving through the lens of design thinking. Our topic for today is empathize design process in the problem solving context.
Design thinking is a powerful framework that empowers individuals to tackle complex challenges with empathy, creativity, and innovation. Empathy lies at the heart of design thinking. Today, we will explore the first stage of the design thinking process, empathize.
Our distinguished speakers and facilitators today are the experts in the field of design thinking and have successfully applied this approach to solve real-world problems. They'll share their experiences, insights, and practical tips on how to empathize effectively in problem-solving contexts.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here, another exciting day of the Innovation Design and Intensive Bootcamp, it is my pleasure to invite our estimated expert on stage to give us a recap of the remarkable progress made during the previous day's session.
Please join me in welcoming Mr. Naved Ahmed from Wadhwani Foundation to the stage. Mr. Naved Ahmed is a renowned innovator and design thinking expert who has been guiding and inspiring our participants throughout the bootcamp. So Mr. Naved Ahmed will provide us with a comprehensive overview of the key learnings and activities from the previous day. Please, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you rest well yesterday. So guys, I hope a lot of learnings were, we tried to give you a lot of learnings yesterday, but somehow I felt that all of you were a little overwhelmed with a lot of information. I gave you the heads up, but I think it happens when you, because this territory for a lot of you, the territory is new. So it requires a lot of effort, concentration to actually absorb all these things. So yesterday also I was saying the same thing, that you need to be focused. You need to be here mentally. Physically you are here, but you need to be here mentally as well, right? So yesterday, we are already running late, so I'll just keep it very, very short. And I'll request everyone to be in the classroom on time, because still we are almost 9:30 and a lot of students are still not here, right? So 9 o'clock means 9 o'clock. We'll start tomorrow. So even if some things go wrong here, we might start late as well. That is all okay. Speaker is not here. That is all fine, but we have to do our responsibility from our side, right? So yesterday we started with the design thinking concept, and we learned about how we can empathize with our customers when we design our product or service, right? So when we talk about when we are talking about designing, it is not designing a product only. This is another myth, right? Design thinking and designing a service is also an art, right? So all the companies don't have products. At times, the product is a service, right? When we provide a product, when we sell a product, we provide some value along with that product. That is why people buy it. At times, we sell service as a product where we are providing some value as a service, right? A good combination of product and service is SaaS products, software as a service, right? Where you don't give the product as such, but you rent the product and you serve the purpose of your customer, right? So yesterday we had a long discussion around, it was an opening around design thinking, and then we started with empathizing with our customers, customer and consumer. Geeta covered a little ground, I covered a little ground around there. Then we had this assessment, self-assessment yesterday. Especially, we were trying to figure out who we are as a person, who we are as an entrepreneur, right? And how we should understand ourselves, what is our flow, and how we can recognize ourselves and figure out who we need to support in this quest of building a great startup or a great service startup to provide services to our customers, right? So one thing was, I hope you remember the flow, a lot of that empathy, empathizing, then defining, ideate, prototype, and test. I would like to throw this question to all of you who are building something, right? Yesterday, Raghu was talking about, makers. And a lot of you said that you are the makers, you are making something, right? Just take 10 seconds and realize where are you right now in terms of this flow. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. In this flow, where are you? Which stage you are at? Think about it. Because you heard the concept, right? You understood the concept. But have you guys tried to realize where are you right now? Just take a moment, think about it. And maybe I would like to ask to raise your hand and tell me, where are you? Learning a concept is one thing, but until unless you will start connecting with your idea, it will not give you the right kind of output which is expected. Again, think about it. Now raise your hands and tell me, where are you? Sir. See, sir is saying that he is at the test level, which is the last one. But somehow he missed the empathizing part, which means this will go back from empathizing. Then he needs to, again define and see whether in the definition part he would like to add a couple of things which he will realize after, customer empathizing. Right? Anybody else?
I have completed the ideation.
Okay, you are at the ideation stage.
Yeah, I have completed it, but I have stage to the prototypes.
All right. So now you will go to prototype stage, or you would like to go back and revisit everything?
I have revisited last night.
Great. That's what we want actually. That's the purpose of a boot camp. When you are here, you're not going back at home and sleeping or chatting, going out. You are in a boot camp where you are available 24 hours a day, right? See, if I would have given a chance, I would have make you work 24 hours a day. Maybe I would have asked you to sleep at 2 a.m. Get up at 10 and be here at 11 and do the same thing and in it, or maybe in a different model. Next day, sleep at 9 p.m., wake up early at 4, and let's meet at the corridor or somewhere and speak about it. So you are saying that you revisited the empathizing part, definition part. Again, you are doing an ideation to bring some of the components in the prototype stage, right? Great. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. And I'll tell you one more thing about this thing. When you do a lot of defining and whatever you are doing, I think uh, documentation is something that you need to do, right? Because when you don't document, the problem is you think that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm the, one man army, and I know everything. But see, we are humans. And once you start writing it is very easy to share it with your peers, to share it with your team members and people who will come join you in your quest later, right? So that documentation is very important. And you will realize when you start writing, you get more ideas, right? So you need to actually document and see how it is. Please settle down quickly and be on time. So, guys, please be on time for every session, right? We are dedicatedly here for this purpose, this sole purpose. So there is nothing more important than this, right? All right, so this is what happened, and I think you enjoyed having a conversation and listening to Raghu and Pankaj. I think we are inviting Raghu once again, although he was not planned for yesterday, to be very frank, but somehow we got hold of him yesterday as well, and we are trying to get hold of him for today. Maybe we'll start a little late. I just had a talk with him. So probably he'll be we'll start somewhere around 11:30 or 11:35 or 40, but he'll be here. He just confirmed me. Anyways, and so you had a great conversation with Raghu. Pankaj. He talked about how he developed his product, where he's right now. All right. So now we are going to start our session with Geeta. And Geeta, kindly.
A heartfelt thank you to Mr. Naved Ahmed for providing us with a concise yet insightful recap of the remarkable progress made during previous day's session. Your expertise and ability to distill key learnings have helped us grasp the essence of the design thinking process and its application in problem-solving contexts.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I invite our first team expert to the stage. Driven by the deep passion for design thinking and an immersive track record of transforming ideas into reality, our first speaker, Dr. Geeta Sanjay, with extensive experience in emphasizing the diverse user group and leveraging those insights to drive innovations. Please join me welcoming Dr. Geeta Sanjay to share her valuable insights. Hello.
Yeah, welcome back to day 2. So this is going to be all the more energizing today, and hope you have rested well and eaten well. So a little more of activities is what we have planned today, apart from helping you to understand the concepts. But I would request all the students, college, school, hackathon winners, to come and occupy the first 3 rows, and I request the faculty to go back if possible. I want all the students, the school, yes, please come. And you're not going to sit with your friend. So if you're sitting in row, the first rows, you are a student. Quickly, let's settle up fast. So I expect the people sitting in the front rows to be very, very interactive today. Okay? Okay. One more minute to settle down. Any student. Hope you have switched off your mobiles, kept it in your bags. Until and unless it's emergency, just keep it with you. Back. No, the first slide. Yes. Now keep it. So yesterday, we learned the very basics of design thinking. So once we understand the concept of design thinking, what would be the next step? We need to ideate and solve a problem. But before we even get into an ideation stage, what is one step before ideation? What is it? A human-centric process. Define the process. Even before defining the process? Empathize. Empathize, yes, you have to empathize. And then finding the problem. Opportunity discovery. Opportunity discovery. So how are we going to discover the opportunity? Is it there in a physical form, like a bulb, where I go and click on it, it's an opportunity for me? We need to analyze it. Analyze. You may or may not get sufficient time to analyze at that particular instance when you're identifying an opportunity. It's not even a problem. Okay? Yes.
We have to stay vigilant and we need to have a entrepreneurial mindset so that we can identify an opportunity as it comes our way. So we need to be vigilant about it. We need to keep our mindset in that direction of the process. So that as soon as the opportunity comes, we can take it up and proceed with the idea.
Okay, let me assume that I have a very bad day today. Okay, for whatever reason, personal reason, I'm not in a very good mood. I'm going in a bus. Do you expect me to be having an entrepreneurial mindset? Maybe, but given our present challenges, our condition, our state of mind, various factors that influence for what we are at this minute, how do we identify? That is what we are going to learn. Yes, but this is what we are going to explore and see. What is that we are going to learn in opportunity discovery today? Ma'am? Yes? Here. If anybody is answering, can you please stand up because I'll not be able to see you.
We need to dig out the opportunity. We need to meet people connected to what idea we have.
Absolutely right, dear. But how do you identify the problem?
Find the correct user group and market we need to focus on.
Without identifying what is the opportunity, let us forget the problem here. Okay, I will go. I'll come. I'll definitely give you all a chance. But this is what we will explore more. That is what I'm telling. This is just I'm setting a context. Okay. So yes, this is for the students only. Only the students have to answer. What is it? Turn me on my side and I'm everything. Cut me into half and I'm nothing. Who am I? Just listen to this once more. Turn me on my side and I am everything. Cut me in half and I'm nothing. What am I? Sorry? Mirror, mirror. If you cut me into half, so when it's into side, how can it be everything? 8. Perfect. Perfect. A big round of applause to him. So you understood how it's 8? Great, I'll not get into it. Next slide. So again, the question is for all of you to understand how much of it you know. I'm going to hand over the mic to specific people only, and only that person whom I'm asking should answer. It's not going to be a chorus. Which of the following is not a key principle of design thinking? Is it human-centeredness, iterative process, bias towards action, or linear thinking? First. Human-centeredness. Is this the correct answer?
Option C.
Bias towards action is the correct answer. Right? So, is design thinking only applicable to product design?
No, false.
So, to what all is it applicable?
It can also be used for service type model or something which we want to create news for designing a system, maybe.
Designing a system. Okay. So, yes, your answer is correct. It is also applicable to service. Yes, service it is, but you can also generalize and say it is applicable even to processes. Right? So, design thinking is not only applicable to product design, it's also applicable to processes or services. So, what is the first phase of design thinking process? Why do we need to empathize?
Because we need to think like a user.
Yes, we need to be user-centric. It's not that everybody needs to have empathy as their core nature, but you need to put yourself in the user's perspective. Once again, I'll give it to you. What is the purpose of brainstorming in the design thinking process? The options are already there. Just tell me the right answer. No, but you have to answer this now. Huh? He has a mic, okay.
To generate a large quantity of ideas.
Okay. Why would you want to generate a large quantity of ideas?
Because creating a lot of ideas is a divergent thinking. We can get so many ideas and we can improve the quality of any idea by getting so many ideas from different perspectives.
Fine, you analyze the ideas and then what do?
Then we find a perfect one.
So what is the option then?
Okay. To evaluate and select the best idea.
Right, that is the correct answer. Okay, any doubts?
Ma'am, I want to ask that how design thinking is a linear thinking.
Linear thinking. Okay, I'll get into it, but let me go with this flow and I'll take it forward. Linear thinking is very much in line with the process that we have explained yesterday. First to empathize, ideate, work on the prototype, define, then ideate, then work on your prototype, test, and again refine.
But we can, while iterating and in this processes, we can go in previous stages too. Now. So how can it be a linear? I guess it is a non-linear approach.
It is an iterative approach more than a linear. So you keep on going back and refining it. So it's an iterative, but it's going to be, you will not diversify. So it's one direction. Yes. Clear? Okay. Next. So what are we going to understand today is, first of all, how to apply design thinking process and problem solving context. You have to articulate your own problem statement canvas. Just by mentioning or identifying a problem statement will not help me. So there is a template, a canvas that is available to define the problem statement itself in depth. So we are going to talk about that. Then there is a lecture on how to find the right path to building a startup. Then we are also going to talk about understanding your customers, markets, segments. That is on understanding your market, target market. Then we have a leadership talk on insights from the design process to arrive at ideal solutions. Then after identifying the opportunity, the market, the customers, then we will also understand what is a customer persona. Right? After this, you're going to work on ergonomics and product design and development. And finally, you will wrap up with the bonfire. So this is what is planned for today. Fine. So now coming to the topic, empathize, that is design thinking process and problem solving context. What will you learn by the end of today's session is how to understand the importance of solving meaningful problems. What do you mean by meaningful problems? Is there a special category called meaningful problems? Problems are problems. Absolutely. When I talk about high impact, what do you mean by high impact?
Which might lead to like significant growth or something.
Significant growth. Growth, yes, probably are giving a lot of livelihood opportunities. Yes, impact is yes. What do you mean by impact?
Ma'am, the same problem that are faced by the mass of the people.
Majority of the people or a huge mass. That is an impact. Yes.
The problem that affects a large number of people.
Yes, that's right. So, cultivate empathy and curiosity.
The problem could target the smaller segment of the people.
Very nice. I thought I'm going to explain about this a little while, but he since is already cropped up. So what he is telling is, it might also be a small segment of people, but the problem is severe, right? Like, for example, say I'm physically handicapped. I need a wheelchair. Not everybody needs a wheelchair. It's a small segment of people only, but still the problem is severe. That is also high impact. Thank you. Thank you for thinking and coming up with this. Okay, then gain insights into customer pain points and unmet needs through effective problem discovery and research. And how do you link between problem, word solving, and a viable business opportunity? See, yesterday when we spoke about the water problem, many of you gave it very beautiful ideas, very innovative ideas, solutions. And that it was at the spur of a moment, which was really commendable. But first of all, you have to understand, is it word solving? Yes, the water problem is there. Is it worth solving? Worth solving in terms of solution that we are going to work on. In terms of customer, how many customers are there in need of it? Okay, and if I have to work on a specific solution, then is it going to be viable? What do you mean by viable?
Something which means to someone, like viable enough resources on something like that.
You have to be a little more clearer in this. What do you mean by viable? Yes, please. Feasible and viable are two different things. What is viable?
Like I said, it should be economically feasible and sensible.
Solution should be possible, and the solution should be possible and should have a profitability thing included. Like we could profit from that solution also.
In short, it should be applicable.
Applicable. Okay.
Accessibility.
Accessibility, feasibility, sustainability, all these are different jargons. They are related, but they are not the same. Implementable. Okay. Absolutely. Is it implementable? And will it sustain? Sustain as what? Adaptable, yes. Sustain. What do you mean by sustainable?
Ma'am, something that people can use and get the benefit of for longer period of time.
For longer period of time. Will people keep needing it more and more and more? And will they continue using it so that my product sustains? So which is a classic product or few products that you can remember is a sustainable product? No? Perfect.
Notebook.
Notebooks. Any utility items. Right from your toothbrush to toothpaste to soaps. Your clothes. All of these are sustainable, right? Yes. So, there are a couple of you who've already come up with ideas. You have completed the ideation stage and are also working on the prototype. Am I correct? So we also have one entrepreneur here who has advanced this into a successful venture apart from being a faculty with us. So is she there, Sukanya? Yes. So I want Sukanya to share her story. How did she come up with the idea? What is her journey been? And what is that she wants to accomplish? So can you share your story in 5 minutes? That will be good, Sukanya.
Sure, ma'am. So I think whenever you are an entrepreneur, it has to be a personal motivation. And it also has to be your field of training in order for you to succeed in that venture. So two things happened. I met with an accident and I got a physio to come and give me therapy sessions. And that's when I realized that, this is a field which needs much more innovation because there has been innovation in almost all fields of medicine except this. So then we came up with this idea of a movement analysis device, which you can slip into your shoe and it gives you your entire body movement analysis patterns. So we started working on it like yesterday, Mr. Parashar also showed you. We had a very basic prototype to start with. We were incubated with IIT Kanpur. And that was the time when we started working on the idea. Slowly, we advanced to the final stages where we are currently having Apollo, Nanavati and the marquee hospitals as our clients. And, the whole idea was to make physiotherapy more data-driven, make the decision-making more data-driven. And that's where we got our inspiration from. We did a lot of iterations in terms of product development, talked to many doctors, physios, and of course, we are right now in the scaling stage. So reasons to come up with the idea, although it was personal, it was also driven by the needs of other people in the same domain, right? So it has to be both, a combination of both, something that you experience and something that is a need. That unmet need has to be identified. As of now, people were analyzing movement patterns, but that was on stationary platforms. So we discovered that that gives a very biased data to the doctors. And that's when we thought, why not make something much more dynamic, which can observe people on field and give them more good data, right? So that was the reason we came up with the idea. And what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry,
your journey you have explained. So where do you stand today and what do you want to accomplish?
Of course. So I think we are in a space which is a very niche market. So obviously we do not want to accomplish, we do not envision ourselves maybe as a unicorn, but satisfying an unmet need and being there for a long time, being a long time player. We have had customers as our first investors. We are a bootstrap company, raise funds from the government. And that's what has worked in our favor. And I think we want to grow that way, keep it slow and steady. So that is my vision for the company, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this, Sukanya. A big round of applause because she's not only an entrepreneur, but a faculty as well. So she's managing many hats at a time. So are you, I guess since you mentioned that you're already into the scaling phase, so you must be generating revenue. So yes. What has your revenues been?
So last financial year, this year we closed at 75 lakhs. And hopefully we are growing every month on month. We have a 10% increase in revenues. So this year we are hoping to close at 1.5 CR.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And all the best to you, Sukanya, and your team.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes. And is there anybody else? I also got to hear that there is a student here who's working on a wheelchair. So his prototype is completed. And we want to hear about what was his motivation. What was his motivation? How did he identify this opportunity? And how did he take forward to ideate on the solution? So Nitesh I think you can throw some highlights on how did you find the opportunity?
So last time मैंने एक फेलोशिप अटेंड की थी पुणे में, फायर फेलोशिप फ्रॉम होराइजन एजुकेशन इंडिया लिमिटेड. सो वहाँ पर काफी फाउंडर्स थे, 5-6 फाउंडर्स अलग कंपनियों के वहाँ पर आए हुए थे. वहाँ पर एक फाउंडर थे मिस्टर अक्षय सरोदे. ही इज फाउंडर ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योर पार्लियामेंट एंड ड्यू टू एक्सीडेंट ही इज इन व्हील चेयर. सो नॉर्मल सी व्हील चेयर थी और उनको स्टेज पे जाके मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर हैं वो, तो उन्हें स्टेज पे जाना था. तो हमारे पास ये चैलेंज आया कि हमको उन्हें उठा के और स्टेज पे व्हील चेयर के साथ ले जाना है. सो ये बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम थी और हमने उनके साथ बहुत सारा टाइम स्पेंड किया, लाइक 15 days to 1 month. सो आई फील कि लाइक उनका अगर रुमाल गिर गया है तो अगर उन्हें उठाना है तो उन्हें एक सेकेंडरी पर्सन चाहिए. उनकी व्हील चेयर को ड्राइव करने के लिए एक सेकेंड पर्सन की जरूरत पड़ रही थी. और जैसे यूरिन बैग है और ऑल दिस कंडीशंस आर. सो एक वहाँ पर मुझे एक आइडिया आया कि हम एक ऐसी व्हील चेयर बनाते हैं जो ऐसे सभी कंडीशंस में काम करे, वर्क करे. जैसे स्टेयर क्लाइंबिंग हो गया और उसमें ऑटोनोमस यूरिन बैग हो जो अपने आप ही खाली हो जाए जब विद अ स्विच. एंड पिकिंग स्टिक में उसमें एक असेंबली हो जो कुछ भी अगर सामान गिर जाता है तो वो पिक करके उसे उठा के दे. तो ऑल दिस कंडीशन मैंने उनके साथ जो टाइम स्पेंड किया तो डे बाय डे मैंने नोटिस किया कि उनको क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आई है. आई थिंक 20 to 30 ऐसे मैंने प्रॉब्लम्स उनके देखे जो लगभग कोई भी व्हील चेयर इंडियन मार्केट में अभी सॉल्व नहीं कर रहे हैं. यूएस मार्केट में ऐसे व्हील चेयर्स अवेलेबल हैं. नाम है स्कीवो. सो उसका प्राइस है अप्रॉक्स 35 lakh rupees. सो इन इंडिया इट्स मच हायर. सो फॉर दिस आई मेक अ प्रोटोटाइप इन now it is in software, not in hardware, but we are working on this.
Ma'am, can I just add one more point?
Yes, Sukanya.
I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, you have to be passionate about it, because trust me, whether it is a cool idea, whether it is a normal idea, the day-to-day jobs of an entrepreneur are very boring. So unless you are very passionate about a cause, about a thing that you really want to do not go into it. That's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this, Sukanya. So coming back to Nitesh, yes, they're working on the prototype. He's also received grants from the government, and they're also looking to manufacture shortly. But I think a lot of validation, regulations have to be addressed, but kudos to you and your team to consider this as the problem that you want to work on. And how did Nitesh identify? See, for Sukanya, it was also a personal experience. For Nitesh, I don't think he never had an opportunity to use a wheelchair. How did he identify the problem?
Empathize.
Observation. Right? First, you need to observe. Observe your surroundings. Observe people around you. But are we doing it? It's not that we are entering into their personal space. It's not to make a person uncomfortable, but looking around you. How many of us are present? We are always hooked onto our phones. We are present to the digital world, into the actual, rather than to the actual real world. Right? So look for opportunities around you. So what are some of the drivers that will help us to identify an opportunity? If there is a gap in the performance of an existing solution. See, our wheelchair is not available today. It is available, right? Then what is so unique about your wheelchair, Nitesh?
And the first one is the price and the mechanism of stair climbing. And we are using the autonomous wheelchair mechanism also, and urine bag and the picking stick.
So basically it is the usability, the convenience for the user and the performance. Performance is what he identified has to be improved. Right? So crisis, some of us or people close to us, we experience events or experiences that will open up our hearts and eyes. That is the biggest motivation. Right? Then, survival. How many of you think this is the only option for survival?
I think I'm not clear about.
Okay, that's okay. How many of you think? Survival? Is this the only option?
Ma'am, I think according to our mindset, means anyone, someone thinks like who does not want to work to 6 to 9 jobs, then they think that it is a survival. But whose mindset is to work under someone, then they think, yeah, we can do it, but it is not compulsory.
Okay, when I talked about survival, immediately what did you all think? Is it my survival? Is it applicable to my survival? Did any one of you think, is it applicable for the user's survival? Water again. Right? It is important for survival. Imagining the future. Who ever thought about space travel? Why is Elon Musk betting on a huge risk? He's a visionary. He's thinking about the future which we are not able to see. Just like that, by chance, somebody told that I'm a faculty just by chance. Is it by chance? Yes. But then eventually it should become by choice also. You should start loving it. So when you become an entrepreneur, if you have become, for whatever reason, by chance, you need to embrace it wholeheartedly. Like Sukanya also mentioned, if you don't have the passion, the commitment, never get into it. Every day is going to be challenging. There'll be no external motivation. In fact, conditions might put you down. But how do you motivate yourself in that scenario? There was a faculty yesterday who asked the same question. How do we motivate our student? Is that gentleman here? Yes. Your student, sir. Where is she? Okay. Come to the front. You're a student, right? Please come to the front. So how do you motivate? How do you motivate yourselves? Your peers would already be in very good jobs. They'll be taking a very good pay package. They'll have the best of luxuries in life. So how do you motivate yourself?
Self-discipline.
Discipline. Okay. But you cannot discipline your emotions. Right? Emotions to great extent, especially when it comes to motivation. Why?
By enjoying what we are doing.
It's a very bad day. Are you enjoying listening to the session today? There are many things which are happening parallelly, right? We cannot be a robot. Yes.
Ma'am, just by deciding that the problems that we are facing today, we need to solve them. We need to give a good life to our parents, our family. This thing give me motivation that I need to be successful in the future to become their support.
Then this happiness, what you'll get will be very short-lived. Trust me.
Motivation from our good entrepreneurs like Flipkarts or Ambani or like.
It doesn't matter to me, telling you frankly. Yes, they are doing great. They have really improved the economy, given a lot of livelihood opportunities. But when I don't have money to pay my child's school fee, will Ambani come and pay?
Most probably, money motivation is the important motivation, I think.
Money motivation, it shouldn't be a motivation. It should be a supporting factor.
Yes. Ma'am, it's just the perspective, means what you give your much perspective to. Like I also have to pursue my education and I also have to focus on my business also. So at the end of the day, it's all about your perspective and what you give your most of the time to. That means.
Ma'am, I believe in instant gratification. For example, like taking a basic activity as studying. It gives you a delayed gratification because you can get the result when you have the exam result. But rewarding yourself with the basic while studying, maybe an ice cream or chocolate. And like during working on any product, too, you can reward yourself.
Yeah, that is a motivation that will help you for some time, but not for a longer period of time, because entrepreneurial journey is not a fixed timeline. You may take 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years to become successful. So how do you sustain that motivation?
Maybe drive or hunger for success.
Ma'am.
Okay. Yes, last one.
Ma'am, it can be passion, obsession, or hunger.
Okay. See, these are the attributes we all say that every entrepreneur should have. There are multiple opportunities which will come up. I'll give a chance to all, but I cannot accommodate all your answers within this limited time. The biggest motivation, I'll tell you, is 2 things. One is making a difference to another life. Another life, yes, not only for you, your family members, but somebody unknown to you. Wouldn't you be happy if you make a difference to somebody's life? You got an opportunity to make a difference. One life. How many of you have made a difference without being entrepreneurs? Yes, please. Can she get the mic?
Thank you. Leaving a corporate job and getting into the field of education was one of the reasons why I thought that I can make a difference, because while working in the non-IT sector, the jobs which are belonging to the commerce region, I found out that the freshers that come in are actually not skilled, because there is a gap between what they are doing and what they have studied. Their basics and concepts are not at all clear. They are random. So I switched to teaching graduation, BCom, BBA, and MCom. And then again, I found out that the core problem stands in the 11th and 12th, introductory level of commerce. And then I've switched to 11th, 12th as faculty.
Wonderful. This is the greatest step that she has taken in life, where to make a difference to many lives. So it's not easy.
Sorry, I would like to add that recently, the first batch that I had from my BCom, those all 5 students are still in contact with me, and they are placed very well today.
Excellent.
And 3 of them are entrepreneurs.
Excellent. So it's not an easy transition. So it was not, she was already in a comfortable position, right? She was successful. Why would she need to change just because she feels there's a need? So that is making a difference, which I think, keeps her toes on. I mean, she's on her toes all the time. So that is one. Another thing is gratitude. Gratitude for being thankful for what we have, and we have this opportunity. How many of them are even educated, understand that there is a problem, this is what to be solved, also have the resources, have access to right knowledge, right people. If we get a chance, we should also be grateful. And thirdly, most importantly, if we have just the first one, we can become social workers. But we are not here to become social workers. We are here to become successful entrepreneurs. So we need to also focus on revenues, how to become sustainable, self-sustainable, without depending on external funding as much as possible. Right? So also these are some drivers. So what qualifies a promising idea? All these 3. So you mentioned all of it, most of you. Feasibility, desirability, viability. So desirable, when I talk about desirable, he's talking about a wheelchair with better performance and ease to the user. So did you talk to the customers and find out if this was a real pain point? How many people did you validate this problem statement with?
10.
10. So 10 is a very small number. You have to target a bigger group, at least 50 to 75 across all levels. So all these 10 people come from one city or?
Different cities.
So it's not just cities. You should also look into different age groups, cities, and regions. Regions in the sense, villages. And he also has to come up with a pricing strategy, right? What is the best price that it can be sold at? So he has to consider all of them. It's not that he has to target the entire market that is available. He also needs to understand which are the customer segments, customers that I have to identify. And am I going to identify and work or offer my product to all the customers that I identify? Or is it only to specific segment of customers that I'm going to identify? So before even finalizing on that step, he has to validate across all levels. Okay? Feasible, again, building on the strengths of current operational capability. So I will not Feasible. Is it a feasible idea? If you come up with a wheelchair for, say, probably a villager who might not be able to afford, if I assume it is for 2.5 lakhs per wheelchair. Okay, more than that. Okay, let us assume it's at 2.5 lakhs. Is it feasible? So how much of that segment is present? How many customers are present who cannot afford 2.5 lakh? Who can afford about 2.5 to 4 lakhs? How many are present 4 lakhs and above? So that kind of an in-depth analysis is what he has to do. So how will he get this information? This should be our next question, right? How would you think we'll get all this information? Survey, very good. How will you identify people to do the survey? How will you identify? Is it possible with your, whatever you're studying and whatever job you're in? Is it possible?
Yes.
You can go around places, across villages, cities, and identify who are the people who are in need of it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll definitely take you in my company. Yes, Sukanya wants to share something.
So the question is, how do we evaluate our
How do we
ideas? Identify. So the way we did it was, we did a landing page where we said, we did a landing page where we said the product is already out and you have to book it to, gauge other people's interest. And then we got many leads on our landing page. So that was not, we didn't have anything ready by then, the time we launched the landing page. We just wanted to gauge what is people's interest in our product, and that worked out really well for us. And I think there are multiple such small experiments that you can do. They can be as simple as, putting up a question on Quora and seeing how many people respond to it. Or, making a WhatsApp group, a community, and seeing how many people actually sign up for your WhatsApp group. So these small experiments you can do with very low expenses rather than going around traveling, identifying people, because social media is so vast nowadays. So use it to your advantage. I think that's the way to hack, to get more and more confirmation for what you're building. So that's my 2 cents on how to identify that.
Perfect, sir. I wanted to add on, but what input she's given is also very important. There are solutions, especially for her solution, she could validate through social media sites. But I'm talking about a wheelchair where a person even in a remote village might need. So how would I identify? Where would I go? Can I keep hopping? I don't have money, nor time, nor resources to visit as many cities or villages as possible. But this is one segment that you can definitely should target through social media sites, through digital surveys. How would you do it? Orthos, who mentioned orthopedicians? Good. That is one way. Hospitals, yes, excellent. NGOs, very right. Orphanages, yeah, may or may not be. Even if there are maybe 1 or 2, yes. If it is only for physically handicapped orphanages, yes, you can. Old age home, yes, definitely. Old age home is a very good.
Especially these centers which are taking care of such type of patients.
Very right. Very right. Home care based service companies. Right? And medical stores, yes, but not everybody you'll be getting. Yes, a segment you can definitely get. Oh, medical suppliers. Yes, medical suppliers are the ones. Yes.
Schools for specially able people.
Yes, schools for special. See how many you are getting ideas. So you collect the database and you start contacting them. First you contact, make a phone call, get preliminary basic information. If they will be your right customer or potential customer, and then you go and meet if it's required in person. Medical camps, beautiful. Soldier medical camp. Medical camps, physiotherapy centers, service providers, many more. There are many more. No, never depend on an external agency unless you don't have any other option. Because your entire venture is building on this foundation. If the foundation is shaky, everything will topple down.
And from the department who gives the disability certificate.
Yes, there are many options, I'm telling you, no? One out of the box idea, you will crop up with many more.
अगर हमें फाइंड करना है कि कितने नंबर ऑफ पीपल्स हैं जो जिनको जरूरी है, अगर कोई मतलब पहाड़ी एरिया में रह रहा है, बहुत दूर मतलब गांव में रह रहा है, तो न्यूज़पेपर के थ्रू हम लोग जा सकते हैं. कोई सोशल मीडिया पे नहीं रहेगा, पर अधिकतर लोगों के पास मोबाइल रहता है, तो उसमें हम लोग फोन नंबर दे सकते हैं कि आप कॉल कर दीजिए, या फिर न्यूज़पेपर में एक ऐसा पेज दे सकते हैं कि जिसको फोल्ड करके वो वापस लेटर के थ्रू भेज सकते हैं हमें.
Perfect. See, the first one, what I told you was primary research. But before even you go into primary research, you need to do a secondary research first. So how do you do the secondary research? You go through all the journals in national, international publications, research papers, journals to identify what you've identified the problem. Is it really present? How grave it is? How many customers or how many people, I won't even call them customers, how many people are facing this? So that information you'll get to understand about your overall market. Overall market, how many in India have this problem? If you're looking India as your target market. So you need to read a lot, compile a lot, identify which is the region you want to target. Why? Because you have more people suffering. It is also region-specific problems. Some are region-specific problems, right? Malnutrition, for example. Though it is present predominantly all over India, but there are some regions which have very high rates of malnutrition. So you'll select only that region as your primary focus. This is clear? Any doubts till now? Okay, let's move forward. So now how do I find the right opportunity that is appropriate for me? Now I found out the opportunity. Is it appropriate for you, what you have found?
Yes.
Why?
I'm working on that field.
Great. Once you identify, we'll start working on it. But why do you think it's appropriate for you? What is that which is holding on to you? Where you think that it is appropriate for you? Is this the right one for you?
Actually, I'm working on robotics. So I want to collaborate with a wheelchair with a robotics concept. So that may be a better solution for the differently able people.
Now he's given the answer. Robotics is his skill, his passion. So he wants to integrate robotics with wheelchair. So there is a technology innovation with an impact. And in the area where he already has a skill and interest. So this is the right opportunity for him. So this is only with respect to idea and opportunity. I'm not even talking about the economics of it, financials of it. From financial perspective also, you have to evaluate. See if there is a product which requires, say, 1 crore for me to even work on a prototype. 1 crore, the moment I say 1 crore, all of you will be taken aback. Arey, where do I arrange 1 crore? Is it worth it? How do I work on this? So what are the alternatives present? What do you think you should do? Should you pursue with the idea or not? And if you decide to go ahead or no, how do you decide? These are all the simple questions, right? Where we are at crossroads all the time. In the entrepreneurship journey, right, Sukanya? How do you evaluate? How do you convince yourself? Not only yourself, with evidence. How do you move forward with confidence? It's a risk, but it's a calculated risk, yes.
Yes, when we see the opportunity, we should go ahead.
Yes, dear, all of us wants to go ahead. But yes, there are some challenges that we face practically. Money, capital is the biggest thing.
And then we can ask for someone for help. Like we can start something and people might invest to it. And then we can give them some share like.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So you're also looking for a like-minded, passionate person who believes in your idea. And if he's willing to fund it, partially or wholly.
Yes, ma'am.
Very nice. Very good. Yes.
Reach out to counselors, intent, look for pros and cons, and look if you are prepared to get into the process.
Yes, you definitely have to look into the pros and cons. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Where is the high risk? Now I arrange 1 crore, hook or crook. I work on the prototype. My prototype fails. What next? Yes.
Sometime we have to write ourselves for the opportunity. I give just small example. I am doing engineering in first year BTech computer engineer. So first year I have to study all of subject like engineering graphics. They have to read draw, but I can't draw perfectly. So I am in technical field. So sometime we have to write ourselves for the opportunity.
You have to write yourself.
Means we have to do perfect ourselves for the opportunity. You are raising a 1 crore. So I have to do something to I can raise a 1 crore.
Okay, what is that you do that something? That is what I'm asking.
We have to try our viewpoint, we try to contact with all governments, funding, and if I think I can't, so obviously we can't, but we have to try for this.
Okay. Oh, yes, we definitely will give a shot for all of this. But many of them ask for validation, especially when you're in an idea stage. Without validation, forget traction. We have not even reached that stage. You know, there is I'm talking about a lot of jargons, which I'll explain as and when there is an opportunity. But validation is how many people really need it. How good is it when it comes to quality of it, performance of it, efficiency of it? Yes.
We can apply for accelerator programs, and if we get elected in, so we'll have a validation like Y Combinator and all.
Acceleration programs are different. I'll not get into it, but you may or may not be able to raise funds.
We can trust the data, the facts that we have gathered and take some calculated risk so that the prototype or startup doesn't fail in the future.
Right. So he's telling that we need to collect the data, do the analysis, move forward with some little risk, ensure that even if the prototype fails, then ultimately your final product will be successful. Yes, you need to go with a calculated high risk, but you need to validate with as many as possible. Don't miss out on it. Yesterday also, Dr. Pankaj mentioned how one of the Microsoft products failed, a premium product failed, because they failed to do the validation, problem validation. So it's very important. So you also need to plan for your prototype development. If it fails, what is plan B, plan C? How do I arrange the funds? When it comes to funding, just a minute. When it comes to funding, yes, there are grants available. Many grants are available. Many who are convinced with your idea, your solution, and who see the validation report might also come forward to fund. If it's impact focus, there are also a lot of impact investors. Right? There are also many multilateral organizations like UNICEF and UN. If it's impact focus, there are also people who will come forward to give you grants. Right?
I just need to add something. Entrepreneurship is not about bread and butter. It should not be about bread and butter. For me, you should have an alternate arrangement for bread and butter. And after getting your specific amount, which you feels कि आपको इतना amount sufficient है, then you should go for innovation or entrepreneurship. Because if you are working for money or bread and butter, in that case you are doing a business. भाई एक दुकान चला रहे हो आप तो you are getting आप कुछ उसमें innovate नहीं कर रहे हो, आप अपनी skills add नहीं कर रहे हो. What is required is कि suppose एक dairy farmer है और उसका father का business है और बेटा वही दुकान में बैठा हुआ है. That's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is if you are putting your skills. आप अपना bread and butter की earning एक तरफ रखें and then put your skills, then you will be a successful entrepreneurship. आप अगर पैसा कमाने के लिए या सोच रहे हो कि नहीं मैं बिजनेस करूंगा, मैं कुछ ब्रेड बटर से कमाऊंगा, यू कांट बी अ सक्सेसफुल बिकॉज आप उस केस में शॉर्टकट्स अपनाओगे, पैसा कमाओगे और वो सक्सेसफुल पे नहीं जाएगा. दैट्स माय आइडिया.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, sir. So that is one most important thing as an entrepreneur, all of us have to remember. But yesterday, Dr. Samrat was asking me, what is the difference between an MSME and a startup? So since he's brought out the topic, I would like to ask, what is an MSME and difference between MSME and a startup? Okay.
MSME is like some company who will take longer period to solve some problems. It will progress slowly because they have less fund in with them. But for startup, they get a lots of fund from the external sources, so they can take these big risks and solve larger problems.
No, I would like to correct you here. MSME also has access to funds. They are very big, okay? And they are not deprived of funds. In fact, they are more revenue generating entities. So what is MSME and what is the full form of MSME? All of you know that, right? So what is the difference?
MSMEs are actually not trying to solve a problem. They act as a backbone for other startups and other MNCs and all those.
Okay, they act as a backbone. Now I have a beauty salon. Is beauty salon supporting any other startup? Ma'am? 1 second here, 1 second, 1 second. Okay, they are supporting beauty products. Is it not solving a problem? If I don't have salons, will you look decent enough? No? It is an MSME. Service-based, product-based is an MSME. Then what is a startup? Why didn't you all ask me this very basic question yesterday in the first session? All of you want to be entrepreneurs. All of you want to be own your startups. Innovation. So you're a student?
Come up with a new idea.
Startup is trying to solve.
Startups are trying to solve a basic problem with the innovative ideas.
Innovation, yes, is the driving factor, but innovation is not only with your product or your solution. Please remember, it's not only with your solution. If there is a technology innovation, then it is a startup. If there is a product innovation, then it's a startup. There is a process innovation, then it's a startup. There is innovation with your respect to your business model. It's a startup. Why is that we call Ola as a startup, not as an MSME? It's a technology innovation. Problem solving is there in MSME startup, both.
Ma'am, startup is growth oriented,
MSME you are saying is not growth oriented.
but startups are highly growth oriented and innovative.
All are growth oriented. Otherwise, it cannot be an enterprise at all. Ma'am, yes? Yes, Ria. Yeah.
It is a tertiary service which are the primary services for other companies.
Yeah, see, that is what I'm summarizing. What is that a startup is?
A startup can be a service or a product, but MSMEs are the tertiary services which provide the startups the primary services.
No, no. I've explained till now the difference between the two. I'll come back and clarify to you later, but we don't have much time. So at least most of you got it. Yes.
We don't have that limitation.
That is one of the factors, but that is not a defining factor. One of the factors. Right? Okay. Next. So again, how to identify the problem. This is just one example that we have given. So this is a very hypothetical situation. See, a person called Jay, he saw that when he was commuting in a public transport, the buses, a certain percentage of the seats were always unoccupied, especially it was only reserved for the elderly patients. He observed it in most of the buses that he traveled. So this is definitely a revenue loss. If limited seats are reserved and not occupied, isn't it a revenue loss? It is, right? So he wanted to discover and work on the opportunity, on the problem that he observed. So what were the observations that he did, you think? Did he pursue this, not pursue this? What are the opportunities you can identify in this? Where could the problem be? Why are the seats not occupied? And what can he do about it?
Ma'am, what he can do is he can also reserve those seats for elderly people, but only he can do like elderly priority seats. Anyone can be seated, but if an elderly person is there, yeah, he has to be the priority for sitting on that seat. In this way, everyone can. There will be no loss of revenue, and elderly people will also get reserved seats.
It's a very ideal solution that is recommended actually, but it doesn't happen most of the time. I know where people occupy and don't give the seats to the elderly people. He's supposed to liaise, but unfortunately it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. It's the most ideal solution. Perfect. Why are they, first of all, why are the elderly people, first of all, are the elderly people, how many elderly people are present at any given point of time, especially who cannot afford a private transportation and who depend on public transport and who can travel alone and independent?
Ma'am, J must reduce the percent of reserved seats.
Sorry?
He must reduce the percent of reserved seats.
He cannot do, right? It's not in his authority.
Ma'am, what they can do is they can sell the seats at the last moment if they are not occupied.
They can sell the seats as the last moment. Okay, fine. One option, we'll keep it aside, okay? But we have multiple stops. An elderly person might hop in at any stop.
The problem with elderly people is they can't share the states. And what he should do is his bus should be elderly friendly. What I think.
Okay, elderly friendly buses, vehicles. But
will add on them. So rather than reserving seats in the buses, he can arrange some separate vehicle for the elderly people.
Yeah, before even getting into the solution, if we have to evaluate, is it worth solving? Where is it worth solving? First of all, how many elderly, that my question was, how many are there in a city, in a small town, in a village, who take up public transport, who have to travel often without any support? They cannot afford. Cannot afford a private ride.
So why do travel outside and take the hassle? They can stay at home and can provide them facilities. Home. Another alternative.
Mercy on your parents.
Not comfortable enough or structured in a way that provides them longer support.
Super. She's given a very wonderful perspective. Probably the seats are not comfortable enough. It's not friendly enough for elderly patients.
Ma'am, Jay might provide an online reservation, like he might make a site and the elderly people would get on it, like they would make the reservation from there.
How do you expect them to make a reservation before? They don't have money to get into a private transport. Do you expect them to have a phone and know how to operate to make a reservation? I'm talking about, see, we're all thinking from our shoes, right? So she also gave a very beautiful, right from that perspective, you should go much one level, 2 levels below that. How many people even travel? How many people are in need of it? How often do they travel? What is the barrier for them even to come to the bus stop? Even if they have to travel, what is the alternative present? Once they come to the bus stop, the seat might be comfortable, assuming the seat is comfortable. Can they climb that heavy step? He has to go to that level. Then, if it's not feasible to make the changes with the present system, I cannot change the seats of the bus. There is no option for me to reserve the seats. I cannot put one more step below for them to climb up. What is the alternative I can think of? Sorry?
Space.
Yes, separate space, but do you think our people are decent enough to allow them first to climb and then all of us are in a hurry to get in, right? We are pushing each other just to get in. Local trains.
Ma'am, I think that the process that we are following is wrong. Instead of identifying the problem, we are trying to solve it. First, we will have to identify what the problem is, why they are not.
That is what I was explaining. First, he has to go to understand from the person's perspective. What is the problem? Why is he not even coming to the bus stop? Or if he's coming, why is he not taking the bus? If he's taking, is he getting a chance to occupy the seat? If he's getting a chance to occupy the seat, is he comfortable? It's a sequence. So don't look only that seat not occupied is the problem. Seat not occupied is a problem. But where is the problem? Where is the core problem? What you see, what you perceive, and what actually is are two different things.
Or if we talk from the bus service perspective, it is revenue loss. And if we talk from the older people, they are not able to walk to the bus stand. So whose perspective it is?
So you have to understand from the users. Ultimately, it is about seat being occupied by elderly people. So what is the solution that we can offer to the elderly people so that they communicate? If it's process change where, it's a practical problem where they can't even come to the bus stop, you cannot change that. Or probably are you looking at another service where you fly them from their homes to bus stops. That is another parallel service. Okay? Yes, 10 minutes? 5 minutes, okay. Just next slide. Next slide. So all these are the things that Jai observed, and what were the misses in observation? Definitely he didn't look at what were the practical problems of the elderly people coming even to the bus stop and catching the bus. So he missed out those observations. So, okay, this is fine. Let's role play, I'll miss out. Just go to the next one. So what opportunity that you perceive from the above problem? I would focus more on this. What is the opportunity that you think? So you need to make a list of all this. What were the problems identify? What are the different problems you think is present? All the ones that we mentioned and much more. It's not just limited to this. Much more. Then what of it is worth solving? Worth solving is how many people are in need of it? Will they buy if you offer? Is it sustainable? And is it going to be profitable? All of it is what you have to think. Is it feasible for you? Is it viable for you? Is it desirable for you? All the three have to be applied here. Okay? And the opportunity that you perceive is how big? How many are in need? That is the opportunity that you see. Next. So all this I think you can do by yourself. These are some of the basic questions that you have to ask, validate, and then move ahead. Okay. So again, this we have given it in the form of so that you make a note of it so that you know how you need to identify and validate if the problem is worth solving. So again, these are some of the questions that you have to ask yourself. Do you relate to it? Is it close to your heart? Then what are the conditions that is in your control and not in your control? Both have to be considered. Right? So this is a problem statement canvas. I would like to take another 2 minutes, please. Because I want to focus on this. This is very important. Please make a note of this. See, you need to write down, when I talk about the seats not being occupied by the senior citizens, you have to write the context. When does the problem occur? When a lot of buses ply and a certain definite amount of seats are not being occupied. Then what could be the root cause? Root cause, you have to look at all perspectives. There are also perspectives where probably the commuters, fellow commuters, or probably the driver or conductor is not even behaving well respectfully. That can also be one of the reasons. Look at all perspectives. Alternatives. So what do the customers do now if they have to travel? They really have to travel. How do they go? Do they look for private vans to commute? What are the different alternatives? Or do they go with their children? How do they commute? Then who has the problem most often? Customers. Yes, elderly citizens. Elderly citizens, what age group, what gender, what location do they belong to? Are there any barriers? Barriers, language also can be one of the problems again. Okay, then how does the customer feel? Obviously hopeless. Hopeless feeling, not able to help himself. Quantifiable, what is the measurable impact? What is the measurable impact in units is? Now, how many of it, if not occupied, is a loss? Is a loss. Then what are the disadvantages? There are already many alternatives present, but what are the disadvantages with the alternatives that are already present?